candidates. We have 9 sitting governors who, by the special grace of God, will be commencing their second term on May 29, 2019. We call this meeting basically because we thought first, even though you all in my own case, I did not participate in all the screening, so there are many who I don't even know who they were, but I thought it's important that we all get to know who are our candidates, that we are obliged as a party to market between now and March next year, to not only our party members, but more importantly to all Nigerians who are of voting age and who are equipped with PVC to vote. In addition, I thought it would be helpful for the candidates themselves to also know one another. From my own very limited experience, sometimes you want to compare notes, you want to call somebody from neighboring state. How are you handling this matter in your state? What is going on in your area? This is what is happening in my area. And you find that such information sharing can be helpful. And taking advantage of the experiences of city governors who are also seeking re-election, we also thought that having the opportunity to know them now makes it even easier, such that by the time you are elected next year, by the special grace of God, you already know who your seniors are, as far as those who have been there and you coming to join them. That is why we also felt that some of the city governors who are seeking re-election should also be in attendance. But we appreciate that a lot has happened over the past couple of months. And in many states, we didn't have much challenges. State organs of the party recognizes that they have to be neutral, just as we have to try, in spite of the fact that we all have our individual position. We have to try until the president became the official candidate. We were not able to refer to him as such because we are expected to be neutral until that formality was completed and is now the candidate of our party. So we all can now refer to him not just as president, but as candidate in the forthcoming presidential election, along with the vice president, who is his running mate. This was also what we expected the state organs to do, to remain neutral until the process produce a candidate. I guess in some states, some of the executive were able to maintain that level of neutrality. In some other states, it was clearly quite difficult because we read in papers, state organs endorsing one person against the other, and so on and so forth. So we imagine that there could have been some crisis, some suspicion, and even some quarrels in some cases. So we thought that now that this period is over, we need to be able to remind the governorship candidates and the state chairmen and secretaries to recognize that now whether the person who emerged is your favored candidate or not, as a party, we now have a responsibility to work wholeheartedly and ensure that we deliver our candidates in our respective states. And we thought that a meeting like this will also afford the candidates the opportunity to seek clarification on any matter that you think is important for you to know and what role you expected us to play, and also to remind you that we have very little time left. Between now and middle of and March, we expected to go to the polls. And we expect that each candidate will have looked around and set up a competent campaign organization, take into account the fact that some of those who may not have preferred you as a candidate may well have the skill you need or the influence you require to be able to win the forthcoming election. Thirdly, we have sent out reconciliation committees across the 6 geopolitical zones. From the preliminary information we have, I believe the committees are doing a fantastic job. They are made of mostly of governors, but also of persons who, in our opinion, have enough experience and influence to be able to help in the process of reconciliation. But to be honest, I think that as candidates, each and every one of you have a much more important role to play. Your actions could help the process of reconciliation. They could also deepen division. And for example, in constituting your campaign organization, if you find that one of those who wanted to be governor like you and who indeed has what it takes to be a governor, but somehow the system can only produce one candidate, I think it's helpful if you identify such persons and bring them close and make conscious effort to integrate them into your campaign organization. Or even where possible, ask them to head or lead the campaign. Where you can find that, I think it will be helpful. Because no matter what anybody from outside tried to do by way of helping you to reconcile with those who contested against you, your action will be far more potent in this process. And for the state chairman, they have a huge role to play. There are statutory responsibilities that are vested in the state chairman. We expect the chairman to work extremely closely with our candidates, not only for governorship, but indeed for all the elections. This is not the time to look at, I didn't want this person. This is the person I wanted. We all do have our individual preferences, but those issues have now been settled. The window for substitution has also closed. So as things stand, one can say that those who are candidates now, it is more or less cast in stone. It's not something anybody can interfere with. I am aware that we have some instances in which some people have chosen to go to court. And they are in two parts. There are some who are asking the court to declare them as a winner. It will be sub judice for me to comment on such cases. But where people are going to court to claim that there was no primaries, such persons are not looking for solution. Such persons are more or less agents of opposition. Because if the court were to uphold their prayers, it means that our party will have no candidate in such states. And the implication is that the opposition will win unopposed. So we have to disagree between those who are in court in pursuance of justice and those who are in court or even being sponsored, particularly in states in which we do not have city governors. Where city governors in those states from opposition parties are working with them to try to have a situation in which they will be unopposed. Now, how to identify who is what is the challenge that we all have to share and try and identify who is doing what so that we can take preemptive steps to prevent people from within from being used to sabotage our candidates in any of those states in which we have such issues. But whatever is the case, I believe that a lot is in your hand. And in states where we are, governors are leaving and you're coming in to replace them, you also have to know how to manage your campaign message such that in the course of promoting yourself, you are not seen to be abusing your predecessor, because the party is the same. For example, you are in a state in which the governor has done 2 terms, he's leaving, and you are coming in. For example, I have a good example here. The governorship candidate of Yobe State, if he mounted the rostrum and started criticizing what was not properly done by his predecessor and how he will make Yobe translate Yobe to heaven, with air condition all over the place, in highways and so on, there could be tension between him and his predecessor because we are of the same party. But where you are campaigning in a state that has been governed by opposition, your message is clearer, is neater. So you don't need to know how to manage if you find yourself in a state in which you are succeeding an APC governor. Because if you then discredit the APC, the party, in a sense, it can be used against you. Because your opposition will cash on what you have said and use it decisively wherever it matters. So managing your campaign message is important, and you keep your eye on the ball. That is not to say that you are going to say, look, I'm just going to do exactly what my predecessor did, because 2 people can never have the same style, even if they were twins. I think in between those extremes, you'll be able to find a message that does not put you, set you against your predecessor who are of the same political party platform. I believe that we have enough to campaign with, and I believe in your respective states, you know the local peculiarities. We can't have one campaign basis for each of the states, because the true logic of a federal system is that what people from my own state like, what they put emphasis on, their priorities, the local challenges there are likely to be quite different from some other states. So in couching your campaign message, your manifesto, I will expect it to be as diverse as, reflecting the diversity of our country. But I want to assure you that whatever we need to do at the level of the party and on the part of the NWC, we will not spare any effort to see that we play our part, and God willing, we should have far more number of governors after next year's election than we have at the moment. I would rather allow you to do more of the talking, sharing with us your local issues, particularly the one you think we need to know about, and if there are things you expect us to do, we rub minds on how to approach it. The whole idea is to see how we can be of help, as we proceed with the campaign. Some have asked me, now that the presidential campaign of APC has not yet properly taken off, what can they do? You don't need to wait for the national campaign to take off. You go back, draw up your own campaign calendar, and get going. The only advice I have is, please don't isolate those who contested the election against you, particularly if they have accepted their defeat wholeheartedly. Because our people say, if you are seeking for a position and someone else will vie for the same position and God resolve it in your favor, what are you going to be angry about? And if you are angry, what about the man who was not favored? It is your business to carry the burden of peace and try to reach out. And you know the situation in your state much more than any one of us who is not from your state. So once again, I want to thank you for coming, and I am optimistic that this meeting will help us to address any of those issues that we may not have been aware of, so that we leave here better prepared to face the rigor of electioneering campaign. Let me particularly appreciate the city governors that are here. I understand one or two had come and left. I'm sure you are like postgraduate students, and you have undergrad, so they can draw and you can share with them your own experiences, even though the situation in each state varies. But there are common things that you will find is common to all the states. I'm particularly grateful that you are able to spare time to come to be part of this meeting. And I'm sure our people here would like to have your numbers for contact, so that when they are in trouble, they can always call you. How did you resolve this? They will find it a valuable experience. Once again, you are welcome. And for the state chairman and secretaries, we thought it's better to have secretary and chairman coming. But when one person attends a meeting, the sole recollection of what was discussed could be distorted. But if you are two, you can ask each other, do you remember what was the position in respect of this particular aspect? So we thought that having two people from each of the states would be better than having just the chairman. So, but I'm glad that many of you are able to turn up in this number in spite of the very short notice. So once again, welcome to your secretariat. And I believe by the special grace of God, we will have more governorship come next year. We'll have more senators, we'll have more reps, and we'll have more members of the House of Assembly.
The other thing I wish to emphasize what you mentioned, two things in two key areas. As it is today, God has made it that we're candidates. And whoever contested against you, God has already given you victory. Except for those ones that decided on their own to leave the party, I think you should extend hands of friendship to them and bring them close. And like the chairman said, please make them part of your campaign council to help. It will cause tension, and it will give them hope that by God's grace, when we succeed in 2019, you will carry them along. And on the reconciliation committee by the national, yes, it's a good effort. But I think at the state level, you should also set up reconciliation committees. And what we're doing in Nigeria that I think will help in some cases, if you can at least refund them money for their funds. That would douse a lot of tension. But like the chairman said, we're now APC, we're all on the same platform. I think we should all work together. We should try to carry, because we're already losing time. Campaigns have not started fully, and that's why I believe some people have approached the chairman. But it's never too late. I believe once we start, we'll come out with full force. The signs are clear, even though we cannot take things for granted. So, Mr. Chairman, I think, like I said, you give the best advice and you said it the way it is. What is left now is for all of us to go back to our territories, to our states, and start putting in place a very strong formidable campaign structure so that we start moving. A lot of people are asking, when are you going to start? When are you going to start? Because there's still love for the party and people are waiting for us to come out. So, Mr. Chairman, thank you for the advice. I don't believe my friend here wants to say, as long as they can ask you politician, you must say something.
Mr. Chairman, members of the State Executive Council, or the National Executive Council, I call contestants, candidates, chairmen of parties and secretaries, members of the press, ladies and gentlemen. I thought that my colleague had spoken on their behalf because we were here, we had to rush in because we are also apologizing on behalf of those that are on their ways. Many of the governors are some of them said they just got the text yesterday, and so they were all rushing to come. Because this is about the first meeting after the final confirmation. And so it is necessary for everybody to come. To first confirm that he is now a candidate by the party. And to congratulate, to use the opportunity to congratulate the party and everybody for a very wonderful exercise. And also a very tedious exercise because we knew when we were doing screening, we saw the challenges. And we saw how the chairman was being messed up and down sometimes by us. And from morning to evening. But now that it is getting over, I can see too that the chairman is beginning to shine a little bit. We are also coming to see how our chairman is now looking like. We thank God that we are looking fine now. Now it is now the stage is set for the exercise. I think he has made it very, very clear that the most important thing, because politics is local, is for you to also contend with your local environment. And the local environment is very important. When we went in for the primaries, there were almost every state had their problem. But after the election, we are all waiting to see how many states will solve their problems. Like he said in Niger, one thing or the other will be able to persuade somebody to also bring down his grievances. So that is what we are doing. Apart from that, it is not only your state. If you know you have your neighboring state that has a problem, it is your duty to also move it. Because I know in some states, you find one tribe there, you find another tribe in another state. That one will also help a little. And then the issue of the national. Many of us were also waiting for the national because I remember the chairman at the caucus, the president would say, our campaign for president and vice president is going to be won by the states. And it is your state that they will vote for president. It's not at Abuja. And that emphasis is that when it comes to the election, people should learn to move back to their states. Because we have instances which we are complaining about, that people will not go back to the state. They will remain in Abuja. Some will even claim that they belong to this organization, that organization. And at the end of the election, by the time you start fielding people for appointments, the local ones will not come in again because they don't have anybody in Abuja. It is only those who know Abuja that will be appointed. And I'm sure, Mr. Chairman, you emphasize that that is the only thing that will raise grassroots at the level. Because somebody may be a champion in Abuja, but at home is nothing. The election will not be in Abuja. The election will not be Abuja. In some cases, governors or candidates will labor up and down. And at the end of the day, they don't have opportunity to present who helped them in bringing the vote. So this thing was handled with emphasis. Because we are already beginning to see people raising structures everywhere in Abuja. In my own case, I've told them, if you raise any structure in Abuja, that is for Abuja. But if you raise the structure, come back home, so that you identify the structure with the grassroots. And it is only in your work, because you will go to some stage, you will realize that some people have not even been in their works for the last 2 years. Yes. They have not gone to their work. Yes. If you call a meeting in the state, they will not come. So what are they doing in Abuja? What will they be doing? It's television. Also advertise people at home. So, Mr. Chairman, we want to really put that. That is why I'm also of the opinion that the earlier you release the campaign council for the federal national, the better. Because some of the items that we intend to build into our campaign slogans are also for the president. But if we start now, and then the national comes in, then there will be conflict there and there. Just like I said, someone will come from Abuja and say, no, I'm only campaigning for president. I am not going to campaign for governor. That is very clear. We are seeing it everywhere. Everywhere now. They will say, I am going to campaign for president, but I am not going to campaign for the governor. And so the party structure is one. And if they are not going to campaign for the governor, I will tell them that yes, you are not going to campaign for the governor. Don't campaign with us. Go and build another structure in Abuja. Just stay in Abuja and campaign. Because if you come, it means you are likely to dilute the message of the APC. If you are not going to campaign for governor, you campaign for president, you will say that the president, the governorship candidate is bad. And it is APC. We have one agenda, we have one message from APC. So the earlier the better, let us have what we have for the national, so that we can build it and have one message from the House of Assembly to Mr. President. Otherwise there will be conflict here and there. And then we've seen the other party, I don't want to call their names because it is APC and the other party. The other parties are already doing their campaigns. So this meeting to me is very timely, sir, because we were all sitting down and waiting and wondering whether we will even flag off our campaigns. But we wanted to be sure that we had a meeting like this, that we are confirmed, we are very comfortable with our national executive, then we can take our dates and go back and also flag off our campaigns. And as we flag off our campaigns, the campaigns is from House of Assembly to Mr. President. Whoever wants to contribute to Mr. President should come and contribute in the state and not at the federal. That is my humble submission, Mr. Chairman.